Hello everyone, I'm Colt from the Kingdom, and today we're talking more about my ideas for a sequel to Mass Effect Andromeda. I refuse to let the story die. I will write the whole damn thing myself if I have to. I will make the whole damn thing myself if I have to. For now, I'm just going to keep making content so people don't forget about it. I'm going to go back and number the previous videos I did on this topic so they're easier to follow. A short recap of what we did so far. The game starts with rescuing the Quarian Ark. Then we gain the means to leave Helios, and then meet with the new alien alliance that wants us to help them in their fight against the Kett. The details for these things aren't super important right now. I would still want others' opinions on what options they think are best. Now, fighting against the Kett in several new clusters. I think a fun mechanic for the game would be, you know how Mass Effect 2 had those anomaly missions and starships and whatnot? Well, first of all, bring that back no matter what. And as for this war with the Kett, you could tweak it a bit. In order for the Kett to wage war, they need forward operating bases and resupply stations. Outposts and bases could be placed on uninhabited worlds, preferably moons of gas giants, while space stations could orbit gas giants. In Andromeda, there were a few mechanics you could tell they intended to use, but ultimately couldn't, probably due to time constraints. One of those is the quest for Bane Masani, where you talk about hitting smaller Kett bases before attacking the big one. In practice, you just hit one or two, and you don't even have to do them before hitting the big one. So I guess just take that idea, refine it to fit the game better, and implement it a few times in the game world. Attacking a few outposts reveals a base or a space station. You just have to be careful for it to not be too repetitive, and add some stuff to discover. Like in the first game, some Kett bases for side quests had some interesting notes and logs, but then the additional tasks category was very lackluster. Vary up the environments even just a little. Like the bases in the first Mass Effect were repetitive, but they varied up the interior enough that it didn't feel too repetitive. As usual in open world games, attacking enemy bases is one of my favorite parts. So I just want more of that. Also, if you're going to have them on the planets themselves that you can go back to and explore later, add some NPCs around. Scientists studying their stuff, soldiers occupying it, stuff like that. Even if they have no voice lines, it's just nice to see. But now the main villain and what this war with the Kett actually means. Starting with the main villain, I made a whole video for Mass Effect villains and a recurring problem. People are quick to jump on the Kett for being generic and emotionless, I guess because they don't remember how the previous villains were the Geth, Collectors, Reapers, and even Cerberus that were indoctrinated thralls. The Collector leader was not developed at all, the Reapers likewise were criminally underdeveloped in the personality department. Oleg Petrovsky was fine, if underused. The Elusive Man was misused, and not a compelling villain for that story. The Archon had more personality and an understandable goal and reasoning, so that puts him ahead of everyone else besides Saren and Sovereign. But the Kett may be hard to write a big bad for. The Kett have genetic reverence of their leaders, similar to how humans have an inborn attachment to their parents, even if they don't deserve it. That is a heavy topic I'm not going into right now. The Kett worship themselves. They revere and venerate biology. The Archon was an outlier, betraying Kett holy protocol for his own ambition. I think that would have been better if we could have spent more time with the Kett before getting to him. That's a presentation thing. So how might we write a villain that properly exemplifies the Kett Empire, a totalitarian theocracy, and who also has an engaging personality? Well, there are a few types of villains I find particularly compelling. Pure evil can work, and see Overly Sarcastic Productions Trope Talk to learn more about that. Their personality has to be engaging and fun to watch. Kinda like the Joker. He's unquestionably evil, but you like watching him. Obviously, copying the Joker doesn't work for the Kett, they are very opposed to chaos, that's just an example. If any of you have watched She-Ra, which I highly recommend, I was surprised by how good it was. The Horde was very similar to the Kett in a lot of ways. Minor spoilers. The boss was a lot like the Archon, in that he's temperamental and more concerned with doing his own thing than actually leading the war effort. But the big boss projected a gentlemanly nature, where in his first episode, you almost want to like him. Like, oh, this guy's not so bad. Oh no, he's bad. One of the most powerful scenes is where he treats one of the heroes, a queen, to dinner and shows her the utmost politeness, even calling her Your Majesty. And then he vaguely threatens her before going in for the kill by showing her live footage of her home under attack and her friends being hurt. And he's got a soothing voice to top it all off. Again, not exactly what I think the Kett villain should be. I want to look at Dragon Age 2 for two antagonists that are great in totally different ways. First is the Arashok. He's the bad guy, representing the Qunari, who are a lot like the Kett. Same conquer and assimilate kind of deal, with their religion being the key part of that. Well, despite alien philosophy that appears to strip people of individuality, you still kind of respect him and want him to respect you. A worthy opponent. And then Knight Commander Meredith. And when you first meet her, it's during the Qunari invasion, like 3/4 of the way through the game, and it's a badass moment, and I love it. And then you get past that, and you see her abuse of people and her power, even though she thinks it's necessary. There's more going on here than that, I'm just giving you the quick version. But I maintain Meredith is, for me, the perfect example of a villain you love to hate. She makes me want to take her down. Unlike the Arashok, who we love just because he commands respect, or the Joker, who we love because he's fun to watch, or Zuko in Season 1 of Avatar, where he's just tragic, or Magneto, where you get the idea. There are so many ways to make a great villain. For the next Kett villain in Mass Effect, here's my idea. We start with a polite guy, with a design that's not immediately threatening. When we meet him, he's polite, even respectful. He makes you think maybe this guy's open to peace. He is not, but his politeness isn't a facade. He genuinely respects his enemies. He admires their will, even though he thinks it's focused in the wrong direction. He can't be open to peace, because exaltation has taken that from the Kett. You could look at Loki, specifically in the Thor movies, where you know he is going to betray you, but he makes you want to trust him anyway. I'm not saying make him like Loki. I'm saying, this Kett leader could have a personality that makes you want to trust him, even though you know you can't. Doug Judy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is another good example. Charisma plays a huge role in this sort of thing. Maybe we could give him an appreciation of the arts. The Kett take any useful technology from other species and make it their own. Same way they steal genes and incorporate them into themselves. Maybe this guy appreciates the art of other species, or maybe he's just fascinated by it. He would look at a sculpture or painting or musical instrument and just think it's interesting. No immediate purpose, but we spend so much time with these things, and he's trying to figure out why. Or maybe he really does like it and sees the effect it can have on people. The few Kett we meet in Helios are very stoic and have no patience for little things that aren't useful. The Archon has a great line when commenting about the Asari reproduction.
The ones they call Asari, their reproduction is a mixture of biology, thought, and memories. They take what they need from a species, as they should. Reproduction cannot be left to chance. The superior race dominates. Yet these Asari pretend otherwise, a melding they call it, embracing eternity. Biology has no use for poetry.
We could show that not all Kett feel this way. Show us that despite their forced transformation and biologically instilled obedience to the Kett religion, they are still individuals. Here's one data pad I really like. You could also give him a sort of father complex, where he genuinely cares for his soldiers and people, like a father, like what the Kett instill through exaltation. Yeah, it's still abusive, because exaltation forces them to see their leaders that way, but if you didn't know that, then it looks like an alien society with an interesting culture that's weird, but not explicitly evil. Like, imagine another alien species that sees leaders like parental figures or older siblings, where they're all a big family. That's interesting. It's not for humans, but it's not meant to be. It's meant to work for another species entirely. In addition, the Kett and Helios were struggling and really scrambling around under the Archon, because he betrayed the Kett Holy Protocol in favor of his own ambition. Heresy to the Kett. While the new Kett, actually focusing on what they're supposed to be focused on, are much more together and organized. Their stuff looks nicer. It should still have that kind of weird alien aesthetic because it's not meant to be appealing to us humans, but appealing to a totally alien race. Show us how effective they can be as a military force of really a utopia, or the Kett equivalent. Also, where we had a single exaltation facility in the first game, we could ramp it up to a city. Show off Kett working to build their war machines, but also just enjoying life alongside their duty. We find datapads and whatnot that describe new Kett learning how to serve. They got schools and temples. Expand that into a city. Show us more than just their military. Make us feel bad if we have to attack it. Now what is the endgame? Well, I think after we beat the bad guy, it would be cool to have like a video call with the Kett Senate back in their home cluster. Dialogue options include threatening them or taking a live and let live approach. Like, hey bastards, you even look in our direction, we will end you. We've proven we can, so stay the hell away if you want to live. Or, listen, we don't want to fight you, okay? We are more than able to defend ourselves, but if you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, alright? Of course, that opens up a moral debate if we find out they are doing their enslavement and forced conversion to other clusters. Then it's like, okay, do we get involved and defend the rights of these living creatures? Or do we passively allow them to continue to be enslaved and forcibly changed? I feel like the answer is obvious, but it means going back on our word. Unless we're very careful in how we phrase it, like the Kett aren't allowed to attack anyone, but that's... let's get back to the game. So before that whole conversation with the Kett Senate, we have to take down the local Kett. Maybe we can convince the bad guy to go away to spare the rest of his people. We've discussed how he's meant to be a father to his men, so I can see him not taking kindly to that, but maybe he would say enough is enough and save the rest of them. In the first game, the Moshae has a great couple of lines about how you define victory over the Kett.
Complete eradication? Unlikely, costly, and morally dubious. Drive them away? How? What stops them from returning?
Peaceful coexistence doesn't seem to be an option.
There's much we still don't know. The Kett are not a simple problem. We can't reduce them to a simple solution.
That's a great conversation. So how do we define victory? What is our endgame in the new game? Probably attacking their city. There's probably a main building, a citadel or a temple, where the main bad guy is. We did a race against time in the first game, just like, well, the first game. Going on the offensive seems like the next logical step. Of course, people are going to be annoyed by that, completely ignoring how different the Kett are from the Collectors, and how their tactics are totally different, and how the story has as much similarity as Quicksilver and the Flash, or Green Arrow and Batman. But hell, what can you do? Make it different for the sake of being different? Because that always works out well? No, just do what makes the best story. The Kett are just doing their thing. We've got to stop them. So attack bases around the clusters, get allies, prove that we can defend ourselves. They have to get in some good hits too. The thing is, I liked the direction of Andromeda being more about exploring than waging war, because that's what Shepard's story was about. So what you do with the war against the Kett is going to be a tricky balance. I have ideas for actual first contact where we go down and meet a species that hasn't mastered spaceflight yet. I think that would be really awesome to see up front, and is something that is rarely explored in fiction. So I think they should keep the focus on interacting with new cultures and new biology, while the Kett want to homogenize everything into them. It'll be a tricky balance, but I do believe it is doable. I think they should lean into the idea of celebrating diversity and use the Kett as the antithesis of that, taking only what is useful and forcing others to be just like them. So let's recap. We ally with some new races who are struggling against the Kett. We can't be like the Normandy, one really good team that turns the tide of the war and leads the charge. No, we do our part. We hit Kett bases to free local populations, we make allies, and learn more about the new Kett Big Bad. We interact with him a few times, and he seems like a reasonable guy. He's respectful to his enemies, cares about his soldiers as people, I don't have a third thing to say, you know. And we learn more about Kett society along the way. The Kett are very together people, with a functioning society that almost makes you want to be a part of it, if it didn't mean forced conversion into them. And we end the game by attacking their city and feeling bad about it, but it's gotta be done. Then we have a quick video call with the Kett Senate, and we're out. By the way, during all this, there is another faction of basically pirates fighting everybody. And they're a big deal, but they deserve their own video. I wanted to keep this focused on the Kett. So let me know what you guys think of my ideas in the comments, and let me know if you have any ideas of your own. If you want to talk more about Mass Effect, or anything else, you can hop on over to the Kingdom's Discord server to talk to me and other fans. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. Ishare.